Hello, Angry Spork here, still taking issue with Batgirl Redemption Road. In the last issue, Cassie came across Mark, another young woman who had been trained by David Kane. They both shared a desire for revenge, and after some fighting and some separate investigation, found an old man who could give them some information which they more or less got. When they returned to their meeting place to consider their options, they were tasered into submission by someone in familiar orange boots. Issue 3 starts off with a first-person perspective of Cassandra Cain, dreaming of her adoptive and biological families sort of merged into one. It starts off pleasant enough, where Alfred, Lady Shiva, Tim Drake, and Dick Grayson welcome her home to Wayne Manor, though it takes a bit of a 180 turn when she's told to go meet with her dad, Bruce Kane, someone who's chastising her for an alleged murder. The figure steps out of the shadows and looks just like David Kane, her biological father, but suddenly changes to look like Batman. He demands that Cassie start talking, but she can't. Anytime she tries, it's just a word bubble with a blip. This dream imagery is actually really well done, especially for Cassandra. It has the idyllic elements of a normal family she's always wanted, but peppered with the reality of where she came from and what she's done. It all concludes with the opposing father figures in her life and her inability to speak or stand up for herself. That could also mean that she really doesn't know what she would say in the event she does carry out her mission to kill both her father and Deathstroke. Cassandra awakes in the school gym to find herself and Mark captives of Rose Wilson, aka the Ravager. She has a sword to each of their necks, threatening to gut them if they don't tell her where she can find her father, Slade Wilson, Deathstroke the Terminator. Hey, weren't there about 5 dead would-be assassins there last issue? There's no sign that after a night or two that the police have been called to come clean anything up. So, what happened to the bodies? Mark and Ravager have a bit of a back and forth that amounts to, "My assassin mentor was better than your assassin mentor." Rose turns her attention to Batgirl, who is secretly working on her wrist restraints. Despite how Deathstroke manipulated Cassandra's mind, he is still Ravager's dad and thus hers to kill. She's spent every free moment away from the Teen Titans looking for her father, and that investigation has brought her to the school and the 2 young women before her. Given they have the same targets, Batgirl suggests they work together, but Mark is a bit disagreeable. Fortunately, Batgirl just tells her to be quiet. When told of the army their dads intend to build with the super killers, Ravager begins to release Mark, saying at the very least they'll make good distractions. Batgirl's already freed herself because you're dang right she has, and Rose demands to know what they know. She and Mark fail to impress each other with death threats, and Batgirl brings them back on point. When Hannemeyer's name is mentioned, Ravager has an epiphany, noting that the so-called senile old fool is an even better actor than he is a chemist. When they exit the school at Ravager's discretion, they find 3 armed, similarly clad, masked women waiting for them on a splash page. "Do you think we could distract them with the old, 'Hey, how embarrassing, you're all wearing the same outfit' routine?" In Platinum Flats, Barbara Gordon is analyzing the blood sample she got from Cassandra the previous issue, pondering if she was too easy on her young friend. She knows there's a need to confront the men who had wronged her and would want the same thing if their positions were flipped, but she was trained by Commissioner Gordon, her father, and Batman not to cross a certain line. I'm guessing she's either talking about killing or those velvet ropes at museums. Barb wonders if, given how Cassie was raised, she'll make the right choice. She hears an argument behind her and finds Nightwing restraining Misfit, who, if you recall, was Batgirl herself, for all of 5 minutes. Grayson's not there for a social call, however. He says there's a missing 14-minute section of the Bat computer's log, marked as idle cycling, which is something it doesn't do. Batman would only notice if he were looking for it, so Nightwing suspects this has something to do with Batgirl. Speaking of, we jump back to her, Mark, and Ravager at the abandoned school, where they leap from their new opponents and we see a silhouette of Cassie facing the nunchuck user of the group on a rooftop. One leap and they're on a rooftop? Are they Power Rangers? Does Cassie get a Megazord? Cassie realizes that these must be her sisters, and this situation feels about as unfair as the rest of her life. Her opponent is stronger and faster, but her moves are still like Cassie's own. These assassins aren't given names, so here are some funny ones for kicks and giggles. Speary Agnew tries to get into Rose's head by belittling her skills, but it doesn't work, though she proves to be more than a physical match. Meanwhile, Lady Whippet from the clan Devo boasts physical superiority thanks to the Pheno drug and seems to get the upper hand on Mark. In an interesting maneuver, it looks like Chuckarette leaps over Batgirl, throwing her over her head, but our heroine uses that force to land an attack on Speary Agnew, thus aiding Rose and letting them switch opponents. And I really like that shot of them side by side ready for battle. A bit more fighting and they subdued their opponents, with Batgirl stopping Rose from enacting some sword-related payback, as they've been hurt enough probably just by losing. Mark, ever the disagreeable one, holds each assassin by the chin and snaps their necks in one fell swoop.
We said no killing. You said no killing.
Mark. She's if Cassie Kane was raised by Zack Snyder. The Crimson Crossword costumed killer assures her associates that she was smart enough to knock out her opponent and tie her up with her own whip, only to see that whip and no assassin. Womp 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 womp. Ravagers tick that they don't have someone to interrogate, but Mark reminds her that now they have someone they can track to her base of operation, and they proceed to do so. Though I find it odd that a trained killer would leave their weapon behind, not because it leaves them unarmed, but also because it's a clue to people who are inevitably going to follow her. I guess Cassie really was trained better than the rest of them. We briefly check back in with Oracle, who admits to Nightwing that, yeah, she helped Batgirl. She didn't give her any information, not that she had anything new on Kane or Slade, but she would promise not to tell Batman about her computer activities. Nightwing suggests that Barbara gave her help without really realizing that Cassie's life was in as much danger as the two men she had targeted. When countered with what Batgirl had taken from her, Grayson reminds her that they all got into this business because of something taken from them, and that doesn't make them judge, jury, and executioner, and it certainly doesn't allow them to put other people's lives at risk. He leaves, and both Misfit and an angry Oracle aren't so sure he'll be making any future social visits. He'll get over it as soon as he's written by someone else. Our triad of revenge seekers are in an alley, noting that their escaped quarry has stopped covering her tracks, or is leading them into a trap, one that Rose preemptively blames Mark let be set up by wasting time killing the two they had under control. The girl whose costume is New 52 before the New 52 was a thing, holds Ravager's swords at bay, saying that the ones she killed were about to counterstrike. Rose tears off Mark's left glove, revealing a pattern of scars on her arm, which Cass seems to think are self-inflicted, and more may be added soon. And somewhere Victor Zsasz is sensing a kindred spirit. They stop at a building they're certain the stray assassins stopped at. Cassandra narrates that it seems if Mark can't kill Kane, she's willing to die trying, and wonders if she can make a life without having Kane there to kill. And she asks the same questions about herself. Scaling the fire escape and peering inside, they find more girls, in attire similar in style to the ones that tried to kill them earlier. They're all working out and training, and don't seem to see our trio. There doesn't seem to be any sign of their targets inside the building, but splashed on the final page, Deathstroke watches from the building behind them. Oh no, that's not Deathstroke. I'm not falling for another fake-out like last issue. Tune in next time to see if the next issue proves my paranoia.